Hello everybody, so in this video we will be looking at the LeetCode problem 665, that is non-decreasing array. So the problem statement states that we are given an array nums of an integers, and what our task is to check if it could become non-decreasing by modifying at most one element. So what we have to do is we have to check whether we can make our array a non-decreasing array without modifying it, so with modifying only one element. What we so first of all, there is a difference between non decreasing and increasing. So what we can say, if I have something like 1 1 and 2, it is non decreasing, but in increasing it can just be strictly increasing, 1 2 3, stuff like that. So so how we will do this question is, the brute force that comes to my mind is, for example, I have an example 4 2 and 3. The brute force comes to my mind is like, I will start from here and I'll check it with the next element. Is my next element smaller? So if my next element is smaller, if my next element smaller, I will make this element like much smaller than this element. So if I do it, it will become something like 1 2 and 3, and it will become something like 1 2 and 3, and then my I will go here and it is greater, so I will do nothing. So in the end I will return a true because it is non-decreasing. And if we see for another example, like if I have an example something like, so if I have an example something like 4 2 and 1, so we can see if my I starts from here, I see okay my 2 is smaller, so I'll change this to something less, so I will make it 1. But then I go again here, I see okay my 2 is smaller and I can do at most one modification, right? So I will also take a variable something like a count, and when I see my count is already 1 and I cannot do a modification, but I have to do a modification to make it increasing. So what I'm saying is, like, this is my array, so I see this 2 is smaller, so I know that I have to do a modification so that it becomes a non-decreasing array, so I make it 1, right? But then I go here, I see my 2 is smaller, but my 1 is smaller but my 2 is increasing, so I have to again do a modification to make it smaller 2. But I see okay I can do at most one modification and I have done that here, so I cannot do it and I'll return false. So this is the method that comes to the mind when we read it, but it will fail for certain test cases. Let me give you an example. So if I take a test case such as like 5 7 1 and 8, you see it will fail. So I'll start from here, I, okay, I'll check with my front, okay it is greater, so I don't have to change it. Okay, then I'll go here, I'll my I is here, I'll check okay the one is smaller, so I'll change it, so I'll make it suppose 0, I make it smaller. But now if I see it is not non-decreasing, first it is it is not, first it is decreasing 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 then increasing, so it is something like decrease 1 then increase. So and I have done it once, so according to the method I have done above, it should return me a false, but the answer for this will be true. So for example, if I have something like this, and if I just modify this one here, if I just modify this one, you can see I have a non-decreasing array. So I have 5 which is smaller than 7, then I have again 7 which is equal, and 8. So the answer should for this should be true, but my previous but the method previous that we discussed up here will give us a false. So how we can do this? So I'll take this example again, of 5 7 1 and 8, and what we will do, we will again keep a counter, and this counter can at max go to 1, at max go to 1, so we will initially take it as 0. What we will do is, we will see okay my I is here, or we will start from here, okay my I is at 7, we'll start from index 1. Okay, I see okay my 5 is smaller, so if my 5 is smaller I'll do nothing and I'll move ahead. I come here, I see my 7 is greater than this. So I'll go inside. When I'll go inside, I'll check whether I have to make this one a 7 or I have to make this 7 a 1. The thing is, either I will change this number or I will change this number. So when I go inside, I'll check which one I have to change. So when I go inside, I know my count will increase, so I'll do a count plus plus. Now if I change this 1 to 7, or first of all, if I change this 7 to 1, we know we will get something like 5118, which is wrong. So we have to check for that. So how we will do that? We will check if my I minus 2 is less than 0, or if my nums of I minus 2 is less than or equal to nums of I. If this is the case, what I'll do, my nums of I minus 1 will become nums of I. So what we are doing here is, like, here my I is pointing to 1, right? So we checked at the ith minus 2 position whether it is smaller or equal to 1. If it is smaller or equal to 1, I can change this. I can make it also 1. So for example, if I have something like 1718, I came here, right? Okay, and I see, okay, my 7 is greater, then I check it with this element, so it is equal, so I can just make it 1, and that makes it a non-decreasing sequence. Or if this is not the case, and this I minus 20 is for the case when my I is here, and we have to see this for first two elements. Okay, so now another case is if this is not the case, like for this example it is not the case. So what we will do, so we have something like 5718. What we will do, my nums of I becomes nums of I minus 1. So what I'll do, nums of I equals to nums of I minus 1, and in the end I'll return that my count should be less than equal to 1. Okay, so what this will return, if my count is 0 or 1, it will return a true, or if it is greater, it will return a false. So the time complexity, if I discuss the time complexity, will be O of n, because we are traversing once only, and the space complexity is O of 1 because we are not using any extra space. So now if I just code this up, so here we go, I'll take the size, so int n equals to nums dot size. So now we got the size. Now we need another variable, that is a count, which will be initially to 0. Okay, it will be equal to 0. And another thing, like I'll tell you in the loop only, my I starts from 1 and my I should be less than n, and we need to check another thing, like if my count goes above 1, there is no need to check any further because I know it will be false, right? So I'll just check here only if my it will run till count is less than equal to 1 and I plus plus. So if my nums of I minus 1, if my nums of I minus 1 is greater than nums of I, if my nums of I minus 1 is greater than nums of I, right? So what we will do, first of all my count plus plus. Now inside, if my I minus 2 is less than 0, or my nums of I minus 2 is less than equal to nums of I, if this is the case, right, if this is the case, what will happen, my nums of I minus 1 equals to nums of I. This is what we were doing. And if it is not the case, so it was the case with our example, this one, else one 5718. So what we will do, nums of I equals to nums of I minus 1, and in the end I'll return count less than equal to 1. It is same as writing if count is less than or equal to 1, return true, else false. So Now if I just submit it, it should be working fine. So as you can see, it is working fine and it is submitted. So hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching the video, and make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and see you all in the next video.